Good evening. Today is the 4th of December 2025. I'm Sarah Martin, and this is the DEFCON Warning System's World Theatre Update, a program designed for viewers who want a deeper look into the movements, deployments, and geopolitical undercurrents shaping global security. This broadcast does not issue alerts or recommendations. Instead, we examine developments that could inform future risk assessments. We have 5 segments tonight, covering Europe, the Middle East, the Indo-Pacific, the Korean Peninsula, and the High North. Let's begin. Germany has now deployed 5 Eurofighter Typhoons and roughly 150 personnel to Malbork Air Base in Poland. This move is part of NATO's Eastern Sentry mission and comes after Russian drones entered Polish airspace in September. The detachment will remain through March 2026. While this is not an unprecedented deployment, its significance lies in location and timing. Malbork sits close to the Russian enclave of Kaliningrad, one of the most heavily militarized regions in Europe. By reinforcing Poland's air defenses, even symbolically, NATO is signaling both reassurance to allies and a quiet reminder to Moscow that incursions into alliance territory will not be ignored. This is not an escalation. It's deterrence through presence, and it shows the alliance leaning heavily on predictable, measured responses rather than unpredictable ones. The long deployment window, over a year, suggests NATO expects the airspace pressure to continue for some time. CENTCOM has formed a new entity, Task Force Scorpion Strike, centered around the U.S. military's first one-way attack drone squadron. It uses a system called LUCAS, the low-cost unmanned combat attack system, derived from reverse engineering a captured Iranian Shahed-136. This shows that the United States adopting the same high-volume, low-cost drone tactics Iran has used in multiple conflicts. LUCAS is designed to loiter, swarm, and overwhelm, not replace high-end systems, but complement them. The emergence of this squadron reflects a wider shift. Great power militaries adapting to asymmetric tactics, instead of dismissing them. The US is signaling it intends to match Iran's operational flexibility with its own version of inexpensive massed drones. As drone warfare continues to redefine battlefields, this move could prefigure similar deployments in other theaters. In the South China Sea, the Philippine Coast Guard reports an increase in Chinese vessels near Bajo de Masinloc, also known as Scarborough Shoal. The latest maritime patrol identified 3 China Coast Guard ships, including one stationed at the northern entrance to the shoal. While Scarborough has been contested for years, what stands out here is trend, not presence. Manila describes this as an uptick, suggesting China may be quietly increasing pressure below the threshold of open confrontation. For the Philippines, even small shifts matter. The shoal sits only 120 nautical miles from Luzon. For China, persistent patrols help reinforce its sweeping and internationally rejected territorial claims. This is unlikely to trigger a major crisis on its own. But it is the sort of incremental movement that, over time, shapes the facts on the water and complicates regional stability. These are precisely the kinds of developments we track, because they can harden into new norms if unchallenged. At the ROK U.S. Strategic Forum in Washington, senior U.S. official Jonathan Fritz highlighted President Trump's support for South Korea developing nuclear-powered, but conventionally armed submarines. He cited this as an example of how the alliance is evolving to meet regional threats. The commentary is notable for 2 reasons. First, nuclear propulsion, even without nuclear weapons, dramatically expands range, endurance, and survivability. For South Korea, whose primary concern is North Korea's increasingly quiet submarine fleet, this represents a major doctrinal shift. Second, it underscores a broader realignment of the U.S.-ROK alliance, one moving beyond the peninsula toward a more comprehensive Indo-Pacific posture. Economic cooperation, defense innovation, and regional deterrence are now being bundled together. This isn't imminent change. Building nuclear-powered platforms takes years. But the conversation itself is significant and indicates how both nations see the long-term regional environment. As part of the Luna House Agreement, the United Kingdom will join Norway in developing offshore support vessels that act as motherships for uncrewed mine hunting and undersea warfare systems. These platforms will operate in the High North, a region increasingly central to NATO due to Arctic shipping routes, Russian submarine activity, and seabed infrastructure concerns. The key takeaway is NATO's escalating reliance on autonomous systems. Mine warfare has already undergone a technological shift, but pairing mothership-style vessels with fleets of unmanned subsurface drones pushes this further. For the UK and Norway, this also strengthens industrial cooperation and stockpiling, two areas NATO has struggled with since the start of the Ukraine war. This development won't make headlines, but it matters. Undersea capability and maritime infrastructure security are becoming defining elements of future deterrence in the North Atlantic. These are the developments we're watching in the world theater, each relatively low visibility on its own, but collectively shaping the strategic environment NATO, the United States, and Indo-Pacific partners must navigate. We'll continue to monitor these areas and report when movements become relevant to our broader assessments. For now, I'm Sarah Martin with the DEFCON Warning System. Stay informed, stay aware, and as always, we remind viewers that our broadcasts analyze threats. They do not predict them. Thank you for watching.